How one plush toy ruined our relationship. I, 49F, have 3 children, 22F, 19 meters, and 18F. My oldest are my biological children from a previous marriage, and my youngest I became a mother to, at the age of 2, when I married her widowed father. She has only ever called me Mom, and I officially adopted her at the age of 12. Now on to the issue with the stuffed animals. Years and years ago, when I was only 20 and in college, I worked at a children's museum. I adored the job when working with kids, and had the idea to buy stuffed animals from the gift shop to be my future kids' first stuffed animals whenever they were born. I had gotten a stuffed bear at birth that was very special to me growing up, and on my 18th birthday my parents gifted me a duplicate they had bought way back when and kept for me all these years. I found this so special and wanted to do something similar, so I bought 6 stuffed animals from the museum's gift shop, 3 to be given at birth, and 3 duplicates. I had no idea at the time how many kids I would have, but I knew I wasn't planning on having more than 3, so I didn't get any more. My first daughter received the stuffed animal I selected for her while pregnant. Then, between her birth and the birth of my son, I miscarried. The experience was deeply traumatic for me, especially as I miscarried in my 2nd trimester, and I buried my baby with the stuffed animal they would have gotten. I kept the duplicate too, for comfort, to cuddle and hold. Finally, my son was born and received the last of the stuffed animals I had set aside so many years ago. Now, here's where I may be the asshole. For both my daughter and son's high school graduations, I surprised them with the duplicates, for them to take to college with them and compare against the stuffies they've been loving on their whole lives. Both were very moved by this, and took both original and duplicate to school with them. My youngest, however, never received a stuffed animal, and so when her graduation celebration rolled along, I had no duplicate to gift her. I watched her unpack all her gifts, and her face fall when she got to the last one and realized she didn't really say anything, just got this super sad look on her face, and excused herself to her room. I followed to ask what was wrong, but she said she didn't want to talk to me, so her father went in instead. According to him, she cried to him that she didn't feel as loved by me as her siblings, and as much a part of the family. The unwrapping of her siblings' stuffed animals were very emotional events, and she had had the expectation she'd be getting the same. In hindsight, I could have easily done something similar for her whenever I first came into her life, even if it wouldn't have been from the museum, but I just didn't think of it. She has been cold to me this entire last week, and I feel so terrible. I've offered to take her out to a special dinner, the 2 of us, to make amends, but she turned me down. Aita to edit. The votes are in, and I am definitively TA. Many of you are suggesting that I get her a stuffy that reminds me of her, or maybe to get her 2 so she can continue the tradition with her future kids. But I think what I will do is gift her the duplicate my parents gifted me of my special plush bear I received at birth, which is one of my most treasured possessions and deeply meaningful to me. Thank you all for the advice. It is genuinely appreciated. Update 1. Long story short, my daughter found my Reddit post and came to me in tears, apologizing for her reaction. This was not my expectation, and I assured her she had nothing to apologize for, as I had been in the wrong. We had a long discussion about the situation, our feelings, and how to move forward from this. And although I know she is still hurt, we are on our way to making amends. Long story long, so what even happened? As I've now discovered, my daughter loves browsing aita. She stumbled on my post, and after reading it in its entirety, as well as a good chunk of the comments, all of mine, and many left by other Redditors, she came to me in tears, apologizing for her reaction. She sobbed in my arms that she didn't want this to be the end of our relationship, and that she was sorry, and wanted to enjoy this last summer together. I held her, and assured her she had nothing to apologize for, and apologized myself. I did shed a little tear, but tried to keep my emotions in check, as I did not want the burden of comforting me to be on her. What followed was a productive, but incredibly emotionally vulnerable conversation, the details of which I will not disclose entirely. She has been going through a rough time, and my impression, I could be wrong, is that the lack of a stuffy at graduation was a catalyst for bigger emotions. She did take me up on my offer to take her to dinner, and I've now booked a reservation at a nice restaurant she has been wanting to go to for a while. And last night, we cooked her favorite dinner together, which gave us an opportunity to smooth things over somewhat. We have not yet broached the subject of me intending to gift her my own plush, except for very briefly she insisted I didn't have to, and seemed to feel a lot of guilt, but I still plan to. I just feel it would be best to wait until things have cooled down. And if she truly doesn't feel comfortable taking it, I plan on getting a bear of a similar look to be its little brother for her to take care of. That's the update. Obviously things have not magically mended overnight, but we are finally on track to a resolution. Many thanks to all that left advice. And please check the comments below for clarification on many questions asked before passing any judgments. I far exceeded the allowed word limit, and have instead pasted much of what I intended to say here below. Update 2. When I initially posted to Aita, I was prepared to face judgment and open to constructive criticism. However, while I did receive many constructive comments, which I truly appreciate, I received many more that were hateful and unconstructive, and I will admit, I did get defensive. But the attitude I took on in the comments is not one I brought into my interactions with my daughter. Please understand that I did not throw in her face all the kind things I feel I've done for her over the years, but was rather attempting to contextualize our relationship for strangers who've never met us. And before passing any further judgment in the comments, please check below for answers to a lot of the questions asked in the original thread. To answer a few questions, why did I not adopt her until 10 years after I came into her life? Because I never sought to force myself on her as her mother, and waited until she could give me explicit consent to adopt her. Why did I never buy her any stuffed animals? I did. I bought her many when I first met her, as well as one for her official adoption day, and every adoption day celebration since, and I did technically gift her a stuffed animal for her graduation. 2. It was just a plush of her college's mascot, rather than a duplicate of a treasured plush from her childhood. So why did I not buy her a duplicate at any point over the last 16 years? I did not think to until my oldest graduated and received hers, by which point I mistakenly felt the significance would be lost. Both my bio kids received stuffies saved for them for decades, whereas she would have received one saved for only 4 years. Instead, I tried to honor her in other ways, such as I described in the comments, crafting her a cookbook of generational family recipes that I illustrated by hand, because she is her own individual. Truthfully, while I understand the sentiments expressed in the comments, I don't believe recognizing differences is inherently a bad thing. The duplicate stuffies my bio kids received were duplicates of the very first stuffies to ever be in their crib with them. Their receival of them was a birth event, and I did not give birth to my youngest. But that does not mean I love her any less, or that she is any less my daughter. We have established our own traditions, honoring her entry into my life, such as our celebration of her adoption day. And while I realize I could have handled the stuffy situation better, I do believe it was an honest mistake. But how could I not include her in a treasured family tradition? Knowing how important it is, especially as an adopted child, to feel a part of the family. Because I truly did not realize this one specific tradition meant as much to her as it did. I have strived to include her in as many family traditions as possible throughout the years. As I mentioned in the comments, she speaks German because I taught and spoke it to her growing up, even though her father does not. We celebrate German traditions, such as baking countless batches of German Christmas cookies together every year, just the two of us. Neither of her siblings have any interest in baking, which is something I grew up doing with my mom. And every year it is quality time I deeply treasure. For her 16th birthday, I gifted her the locket my mother gifted me on my 16th, which she'd been gifted by my grandmother before me. This actually upset my eldest daughter, who had not received such a hand-me-down, and this is just to name a few. So given the fact that she has on occasion received and taken part in traditions, my other kids have been excluded from. I did not think the stuffy would carry as much weight as it ultimately did. But isn't her reaction an indication that there are larger issues at play, and that she has likely felt this way for a while? Perhaps. I am not a perfect adoptive mother, and have never claimed to be, and I cannot see inside her brain, so I cannot know her true feelings. But my sense, and I may be wrong, is that the larger issues at play relate back to her biomom, which is something she expressed to me in our conversation. I did not disclose this in my original post, because I did not believe it to be relevant. And it is also a painful topic within our family. But her biomom committed suicide whilst in the thick of postpartum depression. This has obviously impacted my daughter, who has been in and out of therapy for years, grappling with feelings of loss and guilt. She is highly sensitive to feeling isolated within our family unit, which is something I should have taken into account in this situation, and I own that. I realize this is a huge hunk of text, but given the visceral reaction many had, I felt it was important to cover my bases. Come to whatever conclusions you all like. I will likely not be checking the comments for my own mental health and the well-being of my family. To all who left genuine advice, even if that meant calling me an asshole, I truly do appreciate you. And to all who said hateful things, especially in regard to the loss of my baby, please consider the impact your words may have moving forward. My husband hates our dog. Is it ruining our relationship? I don't know what to do at this point. My husband 21M and I 20F have been together for almost 2 years and have had our dog for 5 months. Our dog has been with my family for over 10 years, and since I grew up with him, he is very close to my heart, and I've always had a special connection with him. He makes my life better, and I am very grateful I am able to have him live with me. The only problem is that my husband hates him. I told him from the very start of our relationship that I love dogs and that I need to have a dog at any point in our relationship. He said he was fine with that because he was also a dog lover, and once we got married, I started asking him about getting a dog and looking for dogs to adopt. He was hesitant at first and said he didn't want a dog in an apartment. But my mom said we could take my 10-year childhood dog so we could get a sense for having a dog together, so we took her up on it. We thought it would be a good test for owning a dog together. I asked my husband many times if he was okay with us getting a dog, and he said yes, that he was okay with us getting a dog, and even seemed enthusiastic about it. I thought we were communication well, and I would never get a dog without talking to him about it first. Fast forward to when we go get my dog. I was so excited. I love this dog with my entire heart, and I think he is almost the perfect dog. He has some flaws, sure, but he is pretty low maintenance, potty trained, and pretty well behaved. But now, my husband hates him. The dog will literally do nothing and he will find something to get mad about. We've had several fights over the last 5 months about him, and I'm starting to feel lied to. He's always told me that he loves dogs, and that he grew up with them, but he hates my dog because he is gross, and just hates his personality. My dog loves people, and attention, and cuddles. Basically everything a dog should be. Yes, he can be gross, but dogs in general are gross, including his family dogs. I've met his family dogs, and they are really great, but they are definitely much dirtier and grosser than my dog. They pee in the house randomly, bark, shed. My dog doesn't shed, bark that much, and refuses to pee, poop in the house. My husband says that he just stresses him out, and that he just hates him, but won't give me any other reasons than that. He is always in a bad mood, and gives me an attitude when my dog is around, and now I don't know what to do. I feel like it is ruining our relationship, because he won't even attempt to try and solve this issue. He blames me for us getting the dog. I never would have gotten him if my husband hadn't said yes, but he did, and now he's mad that he lives with us. Then he gets mad at me for not listening to him, but I do listen to him. He just doesn't say anything other than the dog stresses him out, and that he hates him. He gives me almost no information, and expects me to be able to read his mind. I've tried talking to him about it before, and whenever he's angry, but he always says, "I'm trying to start a fight," when I'm just trying to have a mature conversation so that our relationship doesn't fall apart, which is what it seems like it's coming to. He blames B for even having him in the first place, when it was a joint decision. He said no the first few times, and I continued to bring it up in the following months, and eventually he said yes. I thought it was because he thought about it and decided it would be okay once we were settled and totally moved in together, but now he says that I basically forced him to say yes, or I was going to do it anyway. Which I never said once, and would never do without making sure he was okay with it. It sounds to me like he made assumptions about what I would do, and assumed they were truth. He said he would be fine with us getting a dog, and now that we have him, it's my fault. I can't do anything about the dog we have, because he's living with us, and I will absolutely not give him up. I feel lied to, because he said he's a big dog lover, but if my dog did anything like his family dogs do, it would be over. He also says that he only has a problem with my dog, and wouldn't have an issue with any other dog we own, but I have a very hard time believing that. If he can hate my dog when he literally does nothing, how am I supposed to believe that he won't have the same issue with a different dog down the road? I do almost everything for him. I just ask that he give him a 5-minute walk, once a day, so he can pee while I'm at work. Which he agreed to before getting the dog. That's it. Other than that, I do everything. My husband is just so angry all the time and I can't handle it anymore, and he refuses to talk about it without it becoming a screaming match. What do I even do at this point? TL. DR. My husband agreed to get a dog with me, and now hates said dog. It's ruining our relationship, and I don't know what to do next. How am I supposed to fix our relationship during something like this?
Subscribe to stay on top of all the fresh videos.